Sheikh Gumi is at it again. This time around, he's trying to justify negotiation with bandits with the situation between Israel and Hamas. Remember that there was a truce reached by the President of the United States of America that have seen Israel and Hamas ceasing fire. But as we have it, we understand that currently Nigerian government is making a very bold move, saying that they are buying 24 fighter jets from Italy. And apart from that, we have seen a recent development that the federal government of Nigeria is equally buying 49 fighter jets. And in all of this, I think the life of Sheikh Gumi is now seriously disturbed. Seeing that very soon, bandits will start getting full dose of Nigerian rots. Because as far as I'm concerned, that's the way to go. But seeing that the man, Sheikh Gumi, has come once again to say that the Nigerian government should tow or rather take a cue from what happened between Israel and Hamas. Let me bring you up to speed with what he said, specifically from the Punch newspaper. He's saying Gumi cites Israel-Hamas deal a renewed call for dialogue with bandits. Quite disappointed, I must say, because this is someone, of course, who we understand was at some point in his life in the military. Seeing the way and manner bandits disalive Nigerian military personnel, so it's unexpected that somebody of that status should be speaking in this manner. But going forward, they say Islamic cleric Sheikh Gumi has once again called on the federal government to open peace negotiations with bandits, saying dialogue remains the surest path to lasting security in the country. He said he made the appeal in a Facebook post on Monday, citing the recent truce between Israel and Hamas as an example of how dialogue can bring about peace, even in seemingly intractable conflicts. Recent deal between Israel and Hamas marks a diplomatic turning point in the world. United President Donald Trump overseeing the deal. Under the agreement, Israel has committed to a phased withdrawal and release of Palestinian prisoners, while Hamas has freed Israeli hostages in exchange. By going further, according to Sheikh Gumi, he said Gumi urged that if a government can negotiate with groups it once called terrorists, then it is not beyond Nigeria to open channel for dialogue with its own internal armed actors. Peace between Israel and Hamas, they term as terrorists, brokered by USA, who said there is no peace with terrorists. He said, make peace with bandits and let us have peace, he wrote. I must say that Sheikh Gumi is completely wrong from my own point of view. He's wrong because these are bandits, like I will show you shortly. These are bandits that have been claimed that most of them come from outside the country. Most of them come from Burkina Faso, Libya, even maybe Niger and all of that. This was the position of a former president of Nigeria, talking about Muhammadu Buhari, when he had conversation with Donald Trump in the first time of Donald Trump as the president of the United States of America, where he claimed that some of the bandits are people who left Libya after the fall of Gaddafi, and that the only training they had is how to shoot gun. So is Sheikh Gumi advocating that bandits should be given amnesty, should be negotiated with? And these are foreign nationals, people who are alien to this country. So how do you now go into negotiation with such people? To drive on this point, let me quickly bring you up to speed with what came from someone who is in the know of the negotiation between bandits and the communities in the northern part of the country. As we have it, a foreign national was spotted in the midst of those bandits who came for peace deal. So the argument now is Sheikh Gumi asking Nigerian government to start negotiating with foreign nationals who find their way into Nigerian territory, who now hibernate in the bushes, in the forest, maim, kill, and all of that. But let me just bring you up to speed with these tweets. It came from a Twitter handle that goes by the name of MU at SecMX. He's saying it looks like bandits campaign. Kwashi Garua is showing up to a meeting with Faskari local government area chairman Katsina with a foreign fighter. He said 26 kidnapped victims were released in the meeting. He said the guy in yellow turban is not a Nigerian. I'll try to zoom in. Don't watch the screen. I'll try to zoom in for you to have a glimpse of that foreign national or the person that looks like a foreign national, for you to do your own personal appraisal. Because from what I can understand from this video, or rather from this picture image, it clearly shows that this person in question is a foreign national. The question is, what the Sheikh Gumi is asking for negotiation of bandits, is it the same people, foreigners, who find their way into Nigerian territory that you start negotiating with? And in the light of the statement that came from Kawu Baraje, that in 2015, that they brought in Fulani militias to remove a Jonathan from office, because that one is a statement, that one is a clear statement that is verifiable. How do you now start asking for negotiation with those who were brought into the country from other parts of the world? So I think the likes of Sheikh Gumi should advise those they brought in to leave the country quietly. We understand that the government is purchasing about 24 fighter jets from Italy, as you can clearly see on your screen, while a minister, I think that is the Minister of Foreign Affairs, signing some documents in relation to that. And as you can equally see on your screen, talking about Nigerian government move to get about 49 fighter jets. I must say that is the way to go. And that the likes of Sheikh Gumi should have been encouraging Nigerian government, the Nigerian armed forces, to do the same thing. Rather than this negotiation with bandits. You are talking about negotiation with bandits. These bandits are people who have no value for human life. These people go about killing, maiming, raping. And the question is, if you negotiate with them, how long will that negotiation last? Because each time they feel dissatisfied, they will always turn around to start kidnapping, to start maiming. And I want to believe that the reason the Sheikh Gumi is currently making this final push is because he has seen the dexterity on the part of federal government, he has seen the seriousness on the part of federal government, see that they are moving in to acquire more weapons to decimate bandits. But let me quickly say that my own opinion is simple. The government should decimate the bandits. The government should give them the full dose of the wrath or the might of federal government. The government should acquire monopoly of currency power, smoke them out of their hiding places, set them running, and bring them to justice. I want to say that the bandits can never be more formidable than the armed forces, Nigerian armed forces. The reason is not far-fetched. Because to have it, we are a nation that have a sovereign nation. That's what it takes to approach any arm manufacturing company, any country, to acquire war armaments. And apart from that, we have comparative advantage of airports from where we can take off to decimate them. So the more we get a platform, the better. I think that should have been the role of the likes of Sheikh Gumi, to encourage Nigerian government, Nigerian armed forces to acquire monopoly of currency power to deal with them. Because as far as I'm concerned, it behoves on government to protect the lives and properties of Nigerians. As to have it, Section 14, Section 2B of 1999 Constitution amended is very clear that the welfare of the people and their security shall be the primary purpose of governance. So to that extent, the government must do this without excuse. But as to have it currently, Sheikh Gumi is not comfortable because he feels that the government will be decimating bandits. Because I understand the position of North at times, because I could remember under the then government of Jonathan, when the then chief of army staff, General Jerika, was expressing very big statement through his effort to decimate Boko Haram. How a governor in the north came up with allegation of genocide against northern youths from Jonathan government. And the news was everywhere. And the reason was simple. The government was seriously decimating the bandits, or call them Boko Haram. Because it brings all the imagination why the North is causing problem for everybody. At the end of the day, even the resources that from the southern part of the country is the one that are being used to address the insecurity. Because even all effort of a Jonathan government to even give the Anangere in the North education, to make them not to be vulnerable, to be radicalized, to be recruited into banditry, into terrorism. We saw that even after Muhammad Buhari took over from Jonathan, he could not even continue in that trajectory. I think it points to one direction, and it's simple, that the average northern ruling class is not interested in the education of the downtrodden. Because it's equally worrisome that we are currently seeing some northern stakeholders trying to blame federal government for out-of-school children in the north. To begin to wonder, begin to ask, why? Because we understand that even currently, the rate of out-of-school children in the north is at alarming stage. A situation where in some states, you can clearly see 60-something% out-of-school children. In some states, you can clearly see 50-something, 40-something, 30-something, 20-something, as the case may be. And you are talking about students, or rather children within the age bracket of 6 and 16 years. And in some instances, it translates into more than 1 million people in a state. This is definitely potential Boko Haram members you are breeding. This is definitely potential Ansari terrorist members, ISWAP members you are breeding. There's no better way to explain it. Because any child you give birth to, you are allowed to grow in the wild without proper parental care, societal care. Definitely that child is vulnerable to be recruited into banditry, into terrorism. And I think it's part of the consequence of what we face as a people. And if you look at the testimony that even came from a former House of Assembly member from Borno State, who we understand is now a rep member, it's very clear. Because according to him, the then presidency or government of Jonathan brought in machineries when the 2015 election was postponed for 2 weeks. Because we understand that then, the Jonathan government was desperate to score a point, to achieve results, to decimate Boko Haram. Because it was very clear that the Northerners were not ready to vote for him if he was not able to address the insecurity. According to this former House of Assembly member, that the machineries were doing excellently well, leveraging on technology to decimate Boko Haram. But as we have it, Buhari took over in 2015 after that election. The government of Buhari sent those machineries packing. And as we have it, we are still battling with insecurity. Not just battling with insecurity, we are seeing metamorphose. We are seeing bandits metamorphosing into other areas. As we have it, ISWAP was not in the picture in the past. And Saudi terrorist organization was not in the picture in the past. It metamorphosed. It metamorphosed into other areas. All these other areas came about under even Buhari's watch. So the question is, why could Buhari, who is a Northerner, not be able to address this, even as someone who is a war veteran? So I think it points to one direction, that the Northerners, some of them, do not want this insurgency to stop. More so, looking at the testimony or revelation that came from a former military intelligence officer, who was emphatic that the ultimate aim of those who sponsor terrorism in Nigeria is to Islamize Nigeria. According to him, it was very clear that under Muhammad Buhari, there are some ministers, some governors, were people who they arrested confessed that they are part and members or sponsors of terrorism in Nigeria. And it was worrisome that under Muhammad Buhari, Muhammad Buhari was not willing to address it, even as United Arab Emirates, according to the retired military intelligence officer, gave Nigeria some names of sponsors of terrorism. Even as himself, according to him, did analysis and gave the government an insight of the equipment, war armaments. He called it blame that they needed to buy to enable them gather in surveillance and intelligence. According to him, they declined from buying it. I think it points to one direction, that we have some elements in the north who specifically do not want this insurgency to stop. That is why I begin to believe and buy into the opinion. It's not just about opinion, about the position of that retired military intelligence officer. That ultimate aim of those who sponsor terrorism is to Islamize Nigeria. But let me say a very big thank you for your time at this point. This is Lamida and Mr. Matu.